We'll just stop it. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Nena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Hare Krishna. This is a very important section of Bhagavatam. And if somebody understands second chapter, they understood almost everything of Bhagavad Gita. But problem is, even Arjuna did not understand second chapter. So if you didn't understand much, there is not a problem. That's the reason Krishna has to elaborate. Because whatever Krishna want to tell, he already told everything in second chapter. But what happened is Arjuna could not understand. And this is what generally happens. There are many reasons why Arjuna did not understand. We'll not go with the reasons. But what we will try to understand is here what Krishna is trying to tell. Krishna is trying to tell Arjuna this very important shloka. So the first point in this chapter is the very important point. Krishna told that you are not the body, spirit, soul. So it's very simple. You might have discussed it very elaborately, and from 11th to Krishna tells till 30th, you are not the body, spirit, soul. But what happened is, then Krishna tells Arjuna that if you want to realize that you are not the body, spirit, soul, you have to act with the body only. That's how you can understand that you are not the body, spirit, soul. It's not a theoretical knowledge. Like say, I heard it many times. So what? Will I not take breakfast now? Will I not take lunch? But again, I am doing everything with the body only, na? Even though I am spirit, soul, it's very difficult for us to realize that I am spirit, soul. Theory we can know, but practically we cannot know it. What happens is, one time, this is a story we get from Puranas. So I am not good in stories, but anyway, I will I will tell. Because what happens is, one time Indra and Virochana, they both heard from Brahma that about a spirit, soul. And why I'm telling this, how difficult it is to understand that we are not the body, spirit, soul. So Brahma gave very nice discourse. He told that because it is not possible to understand. Why? The fact is, first point is very difficult for us to understand how to become happy. It is necessary at least to understand that I am looking for happiness. So we are all looking for happiness. And second thing is, like we all come to temple and we do all these things. We know we all want to become happy, and we are attending Bhagavad Gita course ultimately to become happy. But without understanding who am I, it is not possible to become happy. That is the point. To become happy, we need to understand who am I. And another problem is, we never have time to break our heads over thought-provoking problems. People don't have time. We are so much in hurry, and our imagination pleasantly, and so many things are there. And it's very deep, but just I'll tell this one. Then Brahma tells that Atma is pure, it is sinless, it does not grow old, it does not die, it does not neither no hunger, no thirst, and he wishes are all fulfilled, and everything conceived by him comes true. And if you want to achieve, then only the Atma, then it is worthy of it. And like this, Brahma gave a very heavy speech. Then Virochana and Indra, then all the demons and demigods, they all heard. This is from the Chandogya Upanishad. Then they said, wow, that the Atma is the bearer of I, and such a soul emerges under the influence of ignorance that causes sinful activities and all these things. He gave very nice, and they wanted to realize. Then Virochana, then they appointed Virochana as the head from the demon side and Indra from the demigod side. They both went to Brahma. Thus heard him very faithfully, and they understood that we have to understand the nature of soul, and one must start living. And then they followed strict vows of celibacy, and that is how a person can realize that he is not the body spirit soul. If we enjoy this body, then it is very difficult to understand I am not the body. If I am satisfying more and more the senses, to realize that I am not the body becomes difficult, because mind gets so much absorbed in that. That's the problem. And then they followed this, and not only that, they lived for, they shared food, and they were very cordial with each other, and they gave up their hatred and natural rivalry they had, both of them, Viraj, and they, that was also a great sacrifice. They performed great sacrifice in that way. And then after 32 years, then Brahma asked, so what do you want? He said, you told about Atma, we want to know. So then Brahma takes them to, he says, whatever you are seeing, if you look into the eyes of other person, in the eyeballs you can see each other, that is Atma. And then he said, you go and see in front of water, you will see that you see the reflection, that's what you are. And you wear a nice dress and decorate yourself, and you see yourself, you are the same person. Then uh, then they both do like that, and they see. Then they see, and Virochan, he understands. Yes, I understood. His body is Atma. And he goes to the demons, and he says, I understood. Of course, so many details are there. Details in the sense, very important points. But I wanted to come to the shloka also. Just so then he says, oh, this is good. I am able to, I understood and everything. And he returns back, and he creates this materialistic philosophy, what many people have in this demonic philosophies. So they, that continues, that we are the body and you work with the body. But Indra understood, no, no, when I'm standing in front of water, when there is a change in water, then I am seeing the reflection is changing. That means it should not change. Again, he goes to Brahma and again performs, serves him for 32 years. The Brahma says, okay, you are mind. Then he says, mind? But in dreams, I get so many disturbances. How I can suffer? No, it's not true. Again, he serves 32 years. Then he says, in deep sleep state, what you are, na, that is Atma. Then Indra feels happy. Then he says, oh, it's like a death only. No, no, it's not correct. Then he says, 5 more years, almost like 100 years. He says. Then Brahma says, what is Atma? For us, we just attend Bhakti Shastri class and we understand what is Atma. So, why I am telling is, to realize Atma is not so easy. Theoretically, we know. Bhagavad Gita Krishna is very easily done. Now, this sloka is one of the definitions of Karma Yoga. Now, what is Karma Yoga? Krishna already explained, but again he defines. Because if you see the previous shlokas from 31 onwards, because I have very little time, so I will try to make you give overview. What happens is, any subject, if you want to learn, we have to know the structure of the subject. Why we have to know the structure? Because we have a logical intelligence is there. We have to fit everything logically in ourselves. Then what happens? You will remember exactly what it is. So we should always have an overview. If we say second chapter, we should know the sections of second chapter. We should not add exactly. So first 10, 11 shlokas where Arjuna is surrendering to Krishna, and then 11th onward Krishna is starting and he's telling about Sankhya Yoga. But immediately, why did Krishna jump after Sankhya Yoga? If you see from 31 onwards, Krishna is telling something else only. He told, you are not the body, you are not the body, you are not the body. And suddenly, from 31 onwards, he is telling something else only. He says, okay, Arjuna, good enough. And now from 31. So if you see 30th shloka, he told, okay, O descendant who he who dwells in the body can never be slain. He cannot be killed. And therefore, he need not grieve for anything. Soul is there. Immediately says, okay, come on, Arjuna, get up. As your specific, consider your specific duty as a Kshatriya. You should know that there is no better engagement for you than fighting on the religious principle. So there is no need to hesitate. Arjuna didn't understand. You told me I am not the body, spirit, soul, and now you are telling you fight. Soul means I have to be soul only. So why I should do all these things? So that was his point. Then Krishna says, okay, come on, fight. Now, what is the connection? This is very important. What Krishna is telling, okay, you are not the body, spirit, soul, but you cannot realize unless you you practice something. And here Krishna is telling, you practice your specific duties. Through that, you will be able to realize the soul. What is the connection? Say now somebody fall on the ground. While walking, he fell on the ground. Now he want to get up from the ground. He has to take help of the ground only to get up. Then we put our hand down and we get up. Similarly, we got this body by material conditionings. Now, to get out of the body, we should take help of the body only. We have to take help of the body, perform the prescribed duties given in the body, then only we can come out of it. That is the point. That's why he's telling Krishna, is telling, okay, as a Kshatriya, you fight. And then he says, if you don't, and he says, it's a very good opportunity for Kshatriyas. No? You are getting good opportunity, and no, you can go to heaven if you fight. And then he says, and not only that, if you don't fight, you lose your reputation. You know these things. And then he says, people will always speak of your infamy, and for a respectful person, dishonor is worse than that. If you don't do it, such a shame, shame. Everybody will say. And then the great generals who have highly regarded your name, now they think you are run away from this battlefield. Such a, and if you, for me, if you ask, it is worse than that. Better you die, and it is so painful. Better you die on the battlefield than to run away. So that's what he says. O son of Kundi, either you will be killed. And now this is a very important point. There is a change from here. हतोवा परपसि स्वर्गम जित्वा वा भोक्षयमहि तस्माद् उत्तिष्ठ कौन्तेय युद्धाय कृतनिश्चय. Okay, come on. Either you will go to heaven or you will win the unrivaled kingdom. But this already Arjuna told. No, no, no. This will not work for me. Why? Because he already told, if you see in the uh, uh, 10th shloka, wait a minute, got time. So where Arjuna tells, even if I have unrivaled kingdom or sovereignty over the planetary systems, I will not be happy. That Arjuna already told. So that's why Krishna, he changes here. He says, because I already, actually no, Veda stopped over. I'm sorry. So Arjuna already told. Then Krishna from 30 and onwards he changes. He gives another option. He says, Arjuna, okay, okay, no issue. If you are not interested in that, then he says, so in the 8th shloka, he says, you see, he says, I can find no means to drive away this grief which is drying up my senses. I'll not be happy. I'll not be able to dispel it even if I win a prosperous, unrivaled kingdom on earth or sovereignty like that of demigods. So Arjuna is telling, no, no, this will not make me happy. And Krishna is telling the same thing here. You will get this now. But Arjuna looked at it. He was telling, I already told, I'll not be happy with this. You will enjoy. If you will kill, you will go to heaven, or you will conquer the earthly kingdom. Arjuna said, no, 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 I am not for this. You give me some other solution. So here lies a sincerity of Arjuna. So he did not go for this type of solution. He is a next level of solution. And of course, I don't have much time to explain the differences and all. But what I can tell is, uh, what I can tell uh, how it is connected. So that is where Krishna is telling, you do an activity and you enjoy the result. Arjuna is like, no, that result is not actually pleasing me. I want something more. Give me something, give me a solution for my problem. You are telling, I do something, I get pleasure from it. but that pleasure I don't want. I want something more. Then Krishna is okay. You want something more? Then don't enjoy anything. Sukha dukkha samay kritva labha labha jaya jayo tata yuddha yujasva naivam prapevas. Then you are going to get something higher. Don't enjoy, but you get something higher. What you get? You get the transcendental knowledge, which is beyond pleasure and pain in this world. There what? So previously it was sakama karma. From here, 30th ano nishkama karma yoga. And then he says, so from here, esate bihita sankhya buddhi yogam. So I am going to give you buddhi yoga. Buddhi yukta ya partha karma bandham prahasasi. So with this knowledge, when you gain the transcendental knowledge, you will be free from this bondage. So the body, you will get out of this body. You will be able to peacefully understand that you are not the body, spirit, soul. And he says, in this path, neha vikramana swaste, even little endeavor is also successful. And then he says, you be focused on this path, vyavasayatmika buddhi. Now he says, okay, what are the obstacles? Obstacles in this path is very simple. Yamima pushpitam vacham. You are hearing too much. Don't hear too much. You will be in problem. So previously the Vedas, Yamimam Pushpitam Vacham Prabhavanti Avivishyata. Vedas, they were so much advertisement department. They used to so much advertise that, okay, Somaras is there, Apsaras are there, Nandankanan garden is there, this, that. Pushpitam Vacham Prabhavanti Vedavada Ratapartha Nane Dastiti Nadina. Kamatmanam Swargaparam. Janmalabha Parapradam Priya Vishesha. Now, previously there used to be Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, other Veda. Now we have Google Veda. This is the 5th Veda. And we sit in front of Vedas, then we lose, sit in front of Google, you lose the determination to practice Krishna consciousness. That's where Krishna is in. The only problem for us practicing Krishna consciousness, we are seeing so much, hearing too much, which are not necessary. Just hear Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavad good enough. That's what happens. Bhoga Ishwarya Prasaktanam. You will be interested in Bhoga and Aishwarya. Taya Aparhata Chetasam. Chetasa will be kidnapped. you will lose your, it will be hijacked. And you will not have your resolute determination. And then he says, Traigunya Vishaya Veda. You have to go beyond this. All this news and Google and Gmail and WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, all this social media. Then what happens? Then he tells the purpose of Vedas. Purpose of Yavanartha. Only one purpose, to attain self-realization. Then he says, then he gives. So it is done actually. Just practice and then you are done. Then again he gives a definition. So this is, Krishna is not, Krishna is not giving a classical definition of Karma Yoga. Krishna gives a universal definition of Karma Yoga here. So karmanyevadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur mate sangosta karmani. Why I am not taking, if just I start now, we have to justify this shloka. So I summarized what is there, how Krishna came to this shloka. I didn't touch this shloka. This shloka, it requires at least 1.5 hour explanation. So because Mata is going to take, I thought I will just tell you why Krishna came to this shloka. So first Arjuna was distressed. Krishna explained, you are not the body, spirit, soul. But to realize you are not the body, spirit, soul, you at least do your Sakam Karma Yoga. Arjuna says, no, I am not interested in enjoying this kingdom and all these things. Don't give me this solution. Krishna says, okay, you go for the next level. There is Nishkam Karma Yoga, which Krishna is telling is actually here Nishkam Karma, Krishna calling it Buddhi Yoga. So he says you perform it. And if you have resolute purpose in this, then you will be free from this bondage. Buddho Sharanam. So he says, Karma Bandham Prahasasi. You will be free from this bondage of this body. You will be self-realized. Then he says, but there is a problem. What is the problem? You are hearing too much. Don't hear the advertisements. If you hear the commercials, advertisements, what will happen? So many desires will come. Then your resolute purpose to practice karma will not happen. So don't hear too much. If you sit in front of TV and you are having so many ads coming, then it really becomes very difficult. And then Krishna says, okay, then what to do? And then he says, You just understand the purpose of Vedas. Previously, Vedas used to do so much advertisement. Now we just have to sit in front of our mobile and TV and that's all. So then what happened? Krishna is telling the purpose is to get the self-realization. And then here he is telling karmanyevadikaraste. Ma phaleshu kadachana, ma karma phalaheturbhur, mate sangos. Now how to do it? This is a very important, we have 5 more minutes. I'll just briefly tell what exactly you understand is, now if I am doing an activity which is of my nature, then even if I don't get results from it, I'll be happy doing that activity. That is karma yoga. Very simple. Like now I like teaching. So because I like teaching, no matter even there is 1 student, 2 student, I get money, no money. And now because I like teaching, by doing it for pleasure of Krishna and offering results, I will be happy and I can gain self-realization. If a businessman is there, he will be interested in making money, no matter how much he gets money or less more, but he will like to do business only. A Kshatriya administrative person, he likes to do management, no matter what is the situation. So the point, even if you keep that person in the prison also, he will be leader among them. He will manage people there. The point is what, everybody has that certain tendencies, and from childhood only we have to attain perfection in that activity. Then only it is possible to follow this karma yoga, because our setup is not like that now in Kali Yuga. That's why we cannot do any of these yogas properly. We can do only Bhakti Yoga, because it's very practical, because we are not grown up in a setup where we can confidently practice karma yoga. Because to follow karma yoga, this is actually a big standard. It is not something very easy now, especially Kali Yuga. We need to understand what exactly my nature is, what is my swabhava, then only it is possible to practice it. So I have just 2-3 minutes. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam.
Prabhuji, can you please explain, when Krishna says about Neha Bhikrama, that shloka, all of a sudden he comes and talks about, fixed intelligence. And then he says that, try to mahato bhayat. So that connection, can you please, I'm not able to understand that connections.
Oh, from Neha Vikramanashasti.
Yeah. Thank you,
So,
Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
yeah. So what Krishna is telling here, that even little endeavor in this path will make you successful, because there is always a danger. Oh, if I do this activity of Buddhi Yoga. So what Krishna told in the previous shloka is, Yeshate Bihita Sankhya Buddhi Yoga Mimam Shunu Buddho Yukta Ya Pata Karma Bandham Prahasasi. So practice this Prata Buddhi Yoga. How you practice Buddhi Yoga? He says the previous shloka, Sukha Dukkha Samay Kritva Labha Labha Jaya Jayo Tata Yuddha Ijasva Naivam Prapa. So you just practice like this without getting Sukha Dukkha Samay Kritva. This is Buddhi Yoga. You practice like this. So even if you make a little endeavor in this direction, so then you will not have any problem. You will be, even if you fail also, there is no problem. Swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Mahato bhayat here in the sense, you will not get animal birth, because your faith has changed into, that means you don't have faith in sense enjoyment in this material world. You have faith in transcendental knowledge. You have faith that if I practice Krishna consciousness, sorry, if I give up the material pleasures here, I will attain self-realization. You have more faith on self-realization. The people who have faith in self-realization, they will never enter into lower birth. But people whose faith is in the pleasures of this world, there is always a chance that they will get animal birth. So this is the point here. So Neha Vikramanas Pratyavayana Vidyate. Swalpam. So better, this is a good path. Better take risk in this path. You will be safe. Like that. Clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, there is so much of, like distractions and grief in this present time. So how do, like as you mentioned about advertisement, right? So even if you don't on the TV, otherwise also each and every place you just see people just promoting and there's so much of things happening. So how do we just keep our mind focused? Okay, this is it, nothing more than this.
Yeah, so we have to do the opposite. Like we are hearing too much that side, we should start hearing so much from Krishna's side, so much of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and holy name. That is the only protection. If you hear more and more, now you have Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita in the morning. So we have Bhagavatam every day morning. You early in the morning you sit and hear, it will definitely have so much effect. Because 1 hour we are just focusing on our goal of life, purpose of life. Even Stephen Covey says, act with end in mind. You should always act. Today, what I am doing based on what I want to achieve. So, for 1 hour, we are just discussing what I want to achieve every day. 1 hour, we are focusing on understanding the goal and purpose. My goal is end in mind. End in mind. I want to go back to spiritual world. I want to go outside. So, for that, we are spending every day 1 hour to understand it. So, all our activities in a day, we try to mold in the direction. So, if you hear too much of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, automatically the 10 heads of Ravana, which are like all our desires, they will get evaporated. All these 10 heads, people think more desires to fulfill them is called success, and to fulfill our desires is happiness. That is the definition of people's happiness. But they are all heads of Ravana. That is all lust, kama, desire to enjoy. We have to destroy them with the help of name of holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So Lord Ram will destroy Ravana. Thank
Okay,
you very much.
Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you, Krishna Rupa for join some
Yeah,
other.
Prabhuji, thank you so much. Prabhuji, we request that you please keep giving your association and please grace us with your presence and your knowledge. In a nutshell, today you have given a lot to us, but we request that frequently you please come and give such sessions.
Right.
Maybe if the devotees agree, we can start at 7 o'clock also so that we can get more of your association.
Yeah, Saturday I have class. Today I made it 8:30, so I had to rush for my class.
Yes, 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 Prabhuji. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you so much for giving your knowledge and gracing us with your mercy. We request you please again and again, please come for our sessions, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So we'll just continue with our regular class. So we request all the devotees to switch on their videos. Devotees are not switching on their videos. It is becoming a little problem because BVRV is monitoring. So BVRV is also telling that why you are not telling them to switch on their videos. It is mandatory to switch on the videos while you are attending Bhakti Shastri classes. So also when some guest is coming, we should switch on our video so that he does not think that he's shooting arrows in the dark. Okay, I'll just share the screen with you all and let's understand what Prabhuji had to say on this. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, there is some problem. Yeah. कर्मण्येवाधिकारस्ते मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्मा फलर्हेतुर्भू मा ते संगोस्तव अकर्मणि. So Krishna says you have a right to perform your prescribed duty, but you're not entitled to the fruits of action. Never consider yourself the cause of the result of your activities, and never be attached to not doing your duty. So, Prabhupada says over here, there are prescribed duties, there are capricious work, and then there is inaction. So Prabhupada is giving even the definitions. What is prescribed duty? Prescribed duties are activities enjoyed in terms of one's acquired mode of material nature. So somebody who is a Brahmana, who is a Kshatriya, who is a Vaishya, who is a Shudra, uh, that is his acquired mode of nature. So somebody might be in the mode of passion, ignorance, or he might be in the mode of goodness. Capricious work means action without the sanction of authority. So, for example, somebody is cheating somebody, but that is not sanctioned by the Vedas, or that is not sanctioned by the Supreme Lord. So then that is, that is capricious work. And inaction means not performing one's prescribed duties. So somebody might just renounce immaturely. He might say, okay, now I've come into Krishna consciousness. Now I'm not obliged to anybody. Let my wife and children, Krishna take care of them, because Krishna is the, universal protector. And I go to the temple and just, do my bhajan and all. So then that is also not encouraged by Krishna to Arjuna. So because over here, what Arjuna wanted to do, he wanted to do inaction only. He did not want to fight. His prescribed duty is that he is a Kshatriya, he is supposed to fight. But Arjuna is not fighting at all. He is going into an inaction mode. So the Lord has advised that Arjuna be not inactive, but he perform his prescribed duty without being attached to the result. One who is attached to the result of his work is also the cause of reaction. Thus, he is the enjoyer, sufferer of the result of his actions. So, anybody who is attached to his work. So, for example, somebody might be very much attached in the temple for cooking, but all of a sudden his spiritual master says, okay, from cooking you have to go to book distribution. Or somebody might be very much attached to book distribution, and he might get puffed up also. So if the spiritual master says, okay, for some time you do cooking, you do some menial work, you do some laborious work, so then if he is attached, then he might be discouraged. He might think that, okay, what? But the spiritual master knows whom to place where and how to get that particular person out of his, shortcomings that are there and which are a hurdle to that particular devotee's spiritual life. As far as prescribed duties are concerned, they can be fitted into three divisions, namely routine work, emergency work, and desired activities. So routine work performed as an obligation in terms of spiritual injunctions without desire for result is action in the mode of goodness. So for us, what is the routine work? We are chanting every day. We are offering bhoga to the Lord. Okay. And we restrain our senses and we control our senses from something which is not uh, which is not favorable for our devotional life, and we restrict what is detrimental to our spiritual life. That is our routine work. Work with result becomes the cause of bondage. Such work is not auspicious. So such work will become a cause of bondage. If I am thinking that, okay, I'll do this and I'll get that, and if I will do this, I will get that. So then that becomes a cause of bondage. Everyone has his proprietary right to regard to prescribed duties, but should act without attachment to the result. So for example, what Prabhuji was mentioning, that if somebody is going for work and he's doing his business, thinking that whether I get money or whether I don't get money, but I have to do business. or whether I have students, I don't have students, I have 5 students, I have 3 students, but still I will teach, no matter what is the case. How many students come, I'm not really worried. I like teaching, so I will teach. So such disinterested obligated duties doubtlessly lead one to the path of liberation. Arjuna was therefore advised by the Lord to fight as a matter of duty without attachment to the result. His non-participation in the battle is another sign of attachment. So if you don't participate also, or if you do not do your own prescribed duties, then that is also, a side of attachment. Such attachment never leads to one to the path of salvation. Any attachment, positive or negative, is the cause of bondage. Inaction is sinful. Check this out. Inaction is sinful. So if you're not doing your own prescribed duties and you shirk from your duties as a mother, as a father, as parents, as disciples, as brothers, sisters, husbands, wives, whatever it is, then that is sinful. Therefore, fighting as a matter of duty was the only auspicious path for salvation for Arjuna. So, if you see over here, even the acharyas have also given their own commentaries on this particular shloka, where Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur also says that somebody who is not performing his prescribed duties, or somebody who is thinking that, okay, I can not perform this, I will, so, basically somebody who's thinking escapism. If somebody is thinking that, okay, I will, just escape my regular duties, or what will happen if one day if I don't, perform my prescribed duties, it is, it is okay that if I don't perform. But uh, uh, Krishna over here is saying that karmani eva dikaraste. You have qualification for prescribed work. But he's saying that ma phaleshu kadachana, but not for desiring the results of work. Why? Because ma karma phala hetur. So do not be the cause of the result of work by desiring results. And then he's saying ma te sangostat akarmani. So do not be attached to the inaction of work. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur over there says that the Lord wanted to speak about the process of jnana, bhakti, and karma yoga to Arjuna, who is, a very dear friend to Krishna. So, having spoken of jnana and bhakti yoga, the Lord then considered that these two were not suitable for Arjuna. And that is why now he starts speaking about Nishkam Karma Yoga. So he's saying that you're qualified for work, but those who are craving for the results are very impure in consciousness. So if I'm doing something with the intention that I will get something, then that is impure consciousness. So he says that you have an almost pure heart, and I can say about this because I know you, Arjuna. So in doing actions, a result must come. So by doing an action with a desire for a certain result, a person becomes the cause of that particular result. So he's saying that you should not act in that manner, and do not become attracted also to this non-performance of your duty. And non-performance duty means he's saying that inaction is actually sin, akarmani. So Krishna is saying that you should hate doing such work. And Krishna is giving a blessing also, actually. What Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is actually saying, is saying that, definitely in the next chapter, Arjuna is also saying that, okay, my intelligence is really bewildered by your equivocal words, and this is a lack of connection between the previous and the later statements, that it is intentional, having a purpose. Krishna is saying that, see, as I'm standing as your charioteer awaiting your order, you also await my order. It's a, dual, connection between you and me. So one should see that Krishna and Arjuna actually had real agreement of mind. There are three, where Prabhupada is also mentioning three considerations: prescribed duty, capricious work, and inaction. So prescribed duties are activities enjoined in terms of one's acquired mode of material nature. And if I am a Brahmana, but I do not do my prescribed duties, what are the activities that a Brahmana is doing? That he's supposed to study Shastras, and he's supposed to impart that wisdom to the society, so that the society functions in a very smooth manner. If imagine if the Brahmanas, and that is why if you see, currently the society is a haywire society. Why? Because Brahmanas are not performing their duties, Kshatriyas are not performing their duties, Vaishyas are not performing their duties, Shudras are not. Everybody is a mix, like, Brahmanas are performing the work of Vaishyas, or the Vaishyas are performing the work of Kshatriyas, or the Kshatriyas are performing work of Shudras, and it becomes a very haywire society and a very confused. So that is why last class also I was mentioning that if this Varnashram system falls in its place and everybody knows what are their prescribed duties, they know, they are very clear about it, and then they work without attachment, then they will not incur any sin. So one who is attached to the result of his work, he is also the cause of his action, and thus either he enjoys or he is suffering the action. So work with result comes as a cause of bondage, and therefore that work is not very auspicious. So that is why any attachment, positive or negative, then will be a cause of bondage, and that is why Krishna is telling Arjuna that you fight. So in the next shloka, Krishna will teach this method of Nishkam Karma Yoga. Let's see the next shloka. Yogasthitha Guru Karmani Sangam Tyakta Dhananjaya Siddhaya Asiddhayo Samo Bhutva Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Perform your duty equipoised, O Arjuna, abandoning all attachment to success or failure. Such equanimity is called yoga. So now Krishna is telling about yoga, and Prabhupada is elaborating on this word. Yoga means to concentrate your mind on the Supreme Lord by controlling your senses. And then he's giving who is the Supreme Lord, because Krishna himself is telling about Arjuna, and Arjuna has nothing to do with the results of the fight. So what is Krishna's concern then? Whether gain or victory, that is his concern. Arjuna's concern is simply to just obey the orders of the Supreme Lord, or obey the orders of the authority or the dictation of Krishna. And when we are following the dictation of the authority, who is Krishna, then that is real yoga, and that is called Krishna consciousness. So Krishna is giving many instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. What to do and what not to do. What to do will bring him closer, bring a jiva closer to Krishna. What not to do will again help him to get away from the lower modes of material nature, of ignorance and passion, and bring him to the mode of goodness, and then later on bring him to the mode of pure goodness, that is Shuddha Sattva level. Okay, so one has to become the servant of Krishna. One has to become the servant of servant of Krishna, and that's how one can act in yoga. So again, Prabhupada is speaking about Varnashram Dharma because Arjuna is a Kshatriya, and he's participating in the Varnashram Dharma system. So then his aim should be to satisfy Vishnu. The Varnashram Dharma Institute is formed only that slowly, gradually, people come to that point of satisfying the Supreme Lord and not satisfy or gratify their own senses. So, till the time a particular person does not satisfy Krishna, or, Srila Rupa Goswami says that Rishikena Rishikesha Sevaya Bhaktir Uchyate. So we have to satisfy the master of the senses, who's Rishikesha. And when we satisfy the master of the senses, who's Rishikesha, that's where, we will also get. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that yoga sthitaha, you become situated in Nishkam Karma Yoga. And then what you do? What will you do? Then Kuru Karmani, he's saying that perform your duties. And then Sangam Tyaktva. Sangam means, attachment. So Tyaktva means give up. You just, Sangam, that you just give up this attachment. And he's saying, Siddha Asiddha Yoga. Whether you are success, whether you are failure, don't bother about that. And Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. So then such equal-mindedness, whether you have success, whether you have failure, is called yoga. Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. Such a type of yoga where whether you are successful or failure, when you have equal-mindedness, then that yoga is Uchyate. It's the highest. Where when Rupa Goswami is given even the definition of bhakti. Okay, so what is he saying? That bhaktir uchyate, such a type of bhakti, it is the highest. So Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is now saying that Krishna is teaching the method of Nishkam Karma Yoga, acting in a way that whether you are seeing victory, whether you are seeing defeat, still Krishna is advising Arjuna that you fight. And then this only Nishkam Karma Yoga will transform a particular person into Jnana Yoga. So there is a ladder that goes. So Jnana Yoga should be understood from the previous portions of work, where Krishna tells Arjuna that you should act in yoga. And what is that yoga? Yoga means, Srila Prabhupada is saying that concentrate the mind upon the Supreme Lord. And when you control your senses, because the senses are very turbulent and they always keep on disturbing us. So when you focus your mind on the Supreme Lord by the process of hearing and chanting, because the very definition of yoga means only link with the Supreme. So how will you link? Through your mind you will link. So initially the senses are engaged and then the mind becomes controlled. So if you see the hierarchy also, that when the senses are not in control, the mind is also not in control, and the intelligence is acting according to the mind, and then the soul becomes unhappy. So you have a hierarchy. But over here, if you sharpen the intelligence by gaining the knowledge through Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, then what happens? The mind will listen to the intelligence. the mind will be trained to take superior instructions from the intelligence, because now the intelligence is enough sharpened, and ignorance can be cut only with the sword of knowledge. So when the intelligence is dictating the mind, when the superior is dictating the junior, and then the mind is dictating the senses, the mind will tell that no, this meat eating is not proper, stop it. So your hands will not go on that meat. Or the mind will dictate, now enough of prajalpa. If you want to only talk, then talk about Krishna only. So now, initially when the senses fall or when the senses go haywire, it is from this direction, but from that direction, if the intelligence is sharpened, then even the senses get into proper control. So, so Krishna is telling that, see, Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight. Arjuna has nothing to do with the results to fight. Whether you have gain, whether you have loss, whether you have victory, whether you have defeat, Krishna is telling Arjuna, you just fight. And that is why the intelligence will tell the mind, you just worship Krishna. You just focus your mind on the lotus feet of Krishna. So a superior instruction is coming, and when we are following Krishna's dictation, then that is real yoga. And one has to come to this point of becoming the servant of Krishna. And that is only the right way to discharge our duties in Krishna consciousness, which can help us to act in yoga. And because Arjuna is Kshatriya, he is advised by Krishna that you fight. So indirectly, Arjuna was advised to act as Krishna has told him. So we are also being told by our spiritual masters what we need to do and what we don't need to do. What is good for us and what is not good for us. So, and that is why then in the next shloka that is coming, the 49th shloka, Krishna is telling Arjuna that do not do anything with material desire. That's Sakam Karma Yoga. You do it with Nishkam Karma Yoga. Nishkam means without any desires, without any expectation of results. You just do it with niswarth bhav se aap karo wo kaam. Okay, let's see the next. Yeah, this is a very important shloka. दूरे नेहि अवरम कर्मा बुद्धि योगा धनंजया बुद्धौ शरणम अन्विच्छा कृपणा फल हेतवा. O Dhananjaya, keep all abominable activities far distance by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Those who want to enjoy the fruits of their work are misers. So if somebody wants, so see, somebody might just say that, it is very difficult to work without expectation of fruits or the result. For example, a student, why does he study? With an expectation that he wants to pass in his examinations. Okay. A teacher also teaches with that expectation that my students will flare, with 95 plus marks. Okay, a doctor is also working with a intention that the more the number of patients I have, the more name and fame I will give, the more money I will get, the more hospitals I can open. So every profession or every person is thinking that I want something in return. But then somebody who is wanting to enjoy the fruits of his work, then that person, Krishna is telling that such people are misers. And if you see from the 41st shloka and the 46, even in this 46 shloka, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is also commenting that in India, each well is used only for a specific purpose. Like only for some wells are used only for drinking water. Some are only for washing clothes. Some are for only for cleaning utensils or for bathing. So all those activities can be performed near even a river or a lake also. So where a fresh source of water is available, we do not need to go from a well to fulfill, different purposes, right? If, for example, somebody is living in a village, he cannot go, okay, now for washing utensils, I'll go to this well. Now for washing clothes, I will go to this well. Now to fetch drinking water, I'll go to this. No. Similarly, one who is a Vigyata, who has complete knowledge of this Vedic purpose, he need to perform only Buddhi Yoga for Lord's pleasure. He does not have to do anything else. So this performance of Buddhi Yoga will satisfy the purpose behind the Vedas. And what is the purpose of the Vedas? The purpose of the Vedas is to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Karma Kanda rituals then become unnecessary. So even one who has material desires, but who is performing on Buddhi Yoga will become purified, because he is fixed on the transcendental knowledge. So in this particular shlokas, if you see from the 47 shloka onwards, if you see that after explaining different levels of action and motivation, Krishna is going to give only one specific level of action to Arjuna. Because Arjuna is thinking, no, that you're giving me so many equivocal instructions, you please give me one specific level of action. And then Krishna is recommending Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, so what does Nishkam Karma Yoga do? Nishkam Karma Yoga releases one from the bondage of fruitive action and reaction, while allowing one active sensory engagement. So it is compared to a total renunciation of activity, karma sannyas. So what does Niskam Karma Yoga incite? It incites less provocation of this unrest and fall down. So there are less chances that somebody who's doing Nishkam Karma Yoga, he will fall down, because he is not expecting any result from his particular action. So that is why if you see, this Nishkam Karma Yoga is a non-reactive path, that whatever prescribed action you do without any attachment does not bear any action, whether it is pious or whether it is sinful. And that is why if you see in the 48th shloka, Krishna is telling Arjuna to act in yoga, and Krishna is defining yoga. And in this 49th shloka, Krishna is criticizing fruitive work as very abominable, and he is glorifying devotional service by that comparison. So he is calling the fruitive workers as miser or kripana. And then he is calling Buddhi Yoga as supreme. So, this verse is becoming the basis for Arjuna's next inquiry in the, third chapter that he will ask in the very beginning. So, in this 49 shloka, Krishna is telling to reject all abominable actions and to act in Buddhi Yoga. And Arjuna is also recommended to keep all these abominable actions far away. And how to keep these abominable actions far away? by doing devotional service and surrendering unto the Supreme Lord. So, Prabhupada in the purport is mentioning that who is a miser? Miser is a person, because see, if you see in the second chapter, which was the shloka, I think 7th shloka only, 2.7, that purport was it. Just give me 1 minute. Where Prabhupada is giving the definition of 2.7. See, Prabhupada is giving in the purport what is the Kripana. The Kripanas or miserly person waste their time in being overly affectionate for family, society, country in the material conception life. One is often attached to family, namely to wife, children and all, and it's called skin disease. The Kripana thinks that he is able to protect his family members from death. Or the Kripana thinks that his family or society can save him from the verge of death. Such family attachment can be found even in the low animals who take care of children also. So, again, Krishna is telling that these Kripanas, they do not know how to engage their assets which they have acquired by good fortune. And where Prabhupada mentions that human energy should be utilized in Krishna consciousness. But what do misers want to do? They want to enjoy the fruitive work because they are so attached to family and wife and children. So what they will do? They want to enjoy. So what are these abominable activities? Krishna is mentioning that these abominable activities are fruitive acts, all acts which bind to birth and death, and all actions except Krishna consciousness, because they continuously bind us to the cycle of birth and death. Like, okay, so that. So that's how, then what is Krishna telling Arjuna to do? That, okay, now you act on Buddhi Yoga, you act on the platform of loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. And that's what Krishna is telling. But Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying that Krishna is criticizing karma over here with material desire. That means Krishna is criticizing sakam karma. Why? Because he is saying that avaram karma, actions with desire, and dure nahi. Dure nahi means they are very far inferior. So then he is saying that buddhi yogat. Buddhi yogat means what? Nishkam karma yoga. And he is saying that buddha sharanam anvichha. Then Krishna is saying you surrender to buddhi yoga. You surrender to Nishkam Karma Yoga. So these are synonyms, okay? Buddhi Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. They are synonyms. So then he's saying that Kripana Phala Hetava. Those who seek results from their work are, they are wretched, or they are Kripana. Because why? They receive the actions of, their bondage. So actions which are done with material desire, avaran karma, are far inferior to Nishkam Karma Yoga. That is, offered to the Supreme Lord. That is Buddhi Yoga. So that is why Krishna is telling that you please take shelter of Nishkam Karma Yoga, Buddhao. And if you see in this verse, actually Buddhi Yoga is referring to Nishkam Karma Yoga only, rather than, Bhakti Yoga. And one who has actually come to this understanding of one's constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord, he gives up all engagements save his work in Krishna consciousness. So he gives up all, which engagements he gives up? He gives up all unfavorable engagements. which are leading him to sense gratification, which are taking him away from Krishna, which are not bringing him towards Krishna, those all engagements he will give up. But the engagements of his prescribed duty and the engagements towards the Supreme Lord, that he will not give up. So, Buddhi Yoga means transcendental loving service to the Lord. So, only misers desire to enjoy fruit of their own work, just to be further entangled into this material bondage. And if somebody, except for work in Krishna consciousness, all his activities will be abominable. They will be, giving him sins only. Because why? Continuously they are binding him to the cycle of birth and death. And then Prabhupada is also saying that these misers are, very unfortunate people, because they do not employ their human energy in the service of the Lord. So that's why Krishna is telling that you be engaged in this Nishkam Karma Yoga, and without any desires for profit or loss, or a gain, or not gaining anything. Let's see the next shloka. Okay, I came to a point where yeah, 50. Now Krishna is going to say, this is very interesting shloka. This is Buddhi yoga jahati ha ubhe sukruta dushkrite tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karma sukaushalam. A man engaged in devotional service rids himself of both good and bad reactions even in this life. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is the art of all work. So, Krishna is saying it is the art of all work. So, if you see that where Krishna is telling over here that Buddhi Yukta, Buddhi Yukto Jahatita. So, one who is engaged in Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga, what is he doing? Jahatita, he is destroying. What is he destroying? Ubhe Sukrita Dushkrite. He is destroying both pious and impious reactions. And that is why Krishna is advising Arjuna what to do. Tasmad yogaya yujyasva. He is saying that therefore engage in this yoga. Why to engage in this yoga? Because yoga karmasu kaushalam. Because in this type of action, when you are performing, then if you are performing it without attachment, then it is a skill. It is yoga kaushalam. Then this particular yoga is like a skill. So therefore Krishna is advising that we engage in the yoga, yogaya yujyasva. So among all actions done with or without desire, that is karmashu, action performed with indifference to the results is actually kaushalam, is a skill. So this skill has to be developed. Generally what happens, we develop certain skills, right? It's not like that we were, sometimes people are born, sometimes we need to develop those skills. So skill over here means that action is performed but does not occur any reactions. So we develop certain skills, and we need to consciously develop those skills of doing any action without any desire. See, even many times when we have relationships also, when we form relationships also, we have certain expectations or desire. Okay, if I have a relationship with such and such a person, he or she will give me so much. What is my benefit in that? But when you have pure relationships, then you don't demand anything. It is a very selfless relationship with that particular person. And that is why Krishna is advising us that you have relationships, so you do work also without expecting or without any desire from the person. So it is a very high training that Krishna is giving Arjuna, that how to work selflessly, how to have relations selflessly. Because with Krishna also, when we are having a relationship, then we need to be on that selfless platform. We can't be a merchant with Krishna, that Krishna, you give me this and I will give you this, or I'll give you this and you give me this. You can't have some, in Hindi it's called banyagiri. Banya क्या करता है, लेन देन का business करता है, right? So you can't have that relation with Krishna. With Krishna, you just have selfless service relation with him. And whether he reciprocates with you, whether he does not reciprocate with you, whether he is आश्लिषवा पादरम पिनष्टुमा मद दर्शना मर्महता करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु लंपटो मद प्राणनास्तु स्वयमा. Whether you accept me, whether you reject me, whether you don't acknowledge me, but still I will be your servant birth after birth after birth after birth. And this is what actually Krishna is giving a very wonderful training to Arjuna, how to act on a selfless platform. So when with our own work we will do that, in our own relations we'll do that, then that will culminate into a very selfless relationship with Krishna also. So that is why Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport also that so many reactions the living entity has accumulated from time immemorial, whether they have done good work, whether they have done bad work. And this little soul, this poor soul, he is continuously ignorant of his real constitutional position. And how can that ignorance be removed? Then Prabhupada is saying that by following the instructions of the Bhagavad Gita. Why? Because an authority is speaking. Krishna is the final authority. And he is teaching one to surrender to himself in all respects. And he is teaching that when you surrender, then you become liberated from this chain of victimization of action and reaction, birth after birth. And therefore, Krishna is advising Arjuna to act in Krishna consciousness. Why to act in Krishna consciousness? Because it is a purifying process of this resultant action. So it will purify that particular devotee or the living entity. So in the next shloka, Krishna is going to say that where do the living entities belong to and from where they are coming. So let's see the next shloka. So all this is Nishkam Karma Yoga in a very beautiful section. Let's see, 51. We're going little slow today. I'm sorry, but this is a very important section. We need to understand this section a little in deep details, you can say. Karmajam buddhi yukta hi phalam tyaktva manisina janma bandha vinurmukta padam gacchati anamayam. So what is Krishna telling? He's saying that thus by engaging in devotional service to the Lord, great sages or devotees free themselves from the results of work in the material world. In this way, they become free from the cycle of birth and death and attain the state beyond all miseries. So, see, very nice statement this is. Attain the state beyond all miseries. Means what? What state will he attain? Then he'll go directly to the spiritual world where there are no miseries at all, right? So, that's what. So then Prabhupada is mentioning over here, owing to ignorance, one does not know that this material world is a miserable place where there are dangers at every step. Padam padam yad vipadam teshamna. So out of ignorance, only less intelligent persons try to adjust to the situation by furtive activities, thinking that the resultant actions will make them happy. So, it's like a false mirage the living entity is, floating into. And that is why Krishna is saying that karma jam buddhi yukta hi. Buddhi yukta means what? By engaging in nishkam karma yoga. By engaging in buddhi yoga, karma jam phalam tyaktva, and giving up the results of work, then he's saying that who are those people who do this, action? Though those are manisina people. Those are intelligent people who give up the result of their work. And then when they give up this result, they give up the results of their work, then what happens is Janma Bandha Vinurmukta. They are freed from the bondage of birth. And then what happens is the next concomitant factor, what will happen is that Anamayam Padam Gachanti. They will attain the place of they will attain a place where there is no suffering at all, which means they will attain the supreme abode of the Lord. They will go back home, back to Godhead. So, Srila Prabhupada in his, this commentary is saying that Samashrita ye pada pallava pallavam. The living, those who are liberated living entities, they belong to which place? They belong to a place where there are no material miseries, which means that they belong to the spiritual world. And because the miseries of life, what are the miseries of life? There are 4 miseries of life, other than the other 3. There are 7, but primarily there are 4 miseries of life. What are those miseries? We know: birth, death, old age, and diseases. And it is present everywhere in the material world. But if somebody understands his real constitutional position as an eternal servant of the Lord, he knows the position of the Supreme Lord, and then he understands that, okay, he understands his position, he understands the position of the Supreme Lord also, and then he engages himself in the transcendental loving service of the Supreme Lord. Then he becomes qualified to enter into the spiritual world where there is neither material miserable life, nor the influence of time also, and death also. Now, why is there no influence of time in the spiritual world? Because if you see, the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. Okay, so over here you have time, but over there you don't have time. Why? Because over there you don't have past, present, and future. You have only present tense over there. And that is why even over here you experience in the present tense you are happy, but your past, you become, when you reflect on your past, you become sad. Or when you're anticipating your future, you become more saddened that, oh, kya hoga mera future mein. So like you don't enjoy your present tense. But in the spiritual world, there is only present tense, and people are just, our living entities are just enjoying the present tense, serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, giving pleasure to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and they live in the present tense. And that is why they are not into any miserable condition or miserable life over there. And over here, time degrades everything. So if you see, with the passage of time, a particular apple also becomes rotten. Okay. Everything dwindles over here with the passage of time. Be it human body, be it animal body, be it anything, it is degrading. And in the spiritual world, time upgrades. Time, as in when time keeps on going further and further, the relationship between the living entities and Krishna becomes more and more condensed. The relationship between the Jivan and the Supreme Lord becomes more and more relishable. Why? Because there is a transcendental competition going on between the living entities and Krishna. Here the living entities wants to please Krishna 10 times more. So then Krishna is reciprocating 20 times more. Then the living entities are reciprocating 40 times more. Krishna is reciprocating 80 times more than what they have, pleased Krishna. So there is a transcendental competition going on between Krishna and the living entities. And over there, time keeps on intensifying the living entity's relationship with Krishna more deeper and more deeper and more deeper. But over here, what happens? Time is degrading everything. And even over there, death. There is no death over there. Why? Because there is no concept only of birth, death, old age, and disease. There is no concept of aging over there. People are living entities are only up to the age of 13 and 14. And if you'll see, of course, over here, everybody, except for a few, are parents, or even if somebody is not a parent, he must have seen or she must have seen herself when she was or he was at the age of 13, 14, how wonderful he or she used to look, right? But over here, there is a death, and death is very horrible over here. Why? Because over here, there is birth also, and if you have birth, then you have death also. And that is why then you have, old age also. And that old age brings us nearer to death. And that is why it is a very miserable life over here in the material world. So the thing is that if somebody knows one's constitutional position, he knows the sublime position of the Lord also. And one who is wrongly thinking that, okay, the Jivatma's position and the Lord's position are on the same level, they are supposed to be in the darkest region of ignorance. And they are not able to engage themselves in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord. And that is why these people are paving a path of repeated birth and death, what Prabhupada is telling in the purport. And one who is understanding that his position is to serve, then what is he doing? He is trying to serve the Supreme Lord very genuinely, and he becomes eligible to go to the spiritual world. And then what is the what is karma yoga or what is buddhi yoga? What Prabhuji was mentioning is that karma yoga or buddhi yoga means only service for the cause of the Lord. That is karma yoga. That is service for the cause of the Lord means only devotional service to the Lord, which starts from Shravanam and Kirtanam. So let's see the next shloka. Yada te moha kalilam buddhir vyatitarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. When your intelligence has passed out of the dense forest of delusion, you shall become indifferent to all that has been heard and all that is to be heard. So, when a particular person is in delusion, he does not understand where he's going. Actually, he is confused basically. So, Krishna is saying that yada te moha kalilam. So, when somebody's intelligence is completely renounced, then what happens is moha kalilam, the denseness of ignorance And tada gantasya nirvedam. He will be indifferent to that. And shrotavyasya shrutasya cha. He's saying that all that he has heard and what he is going to hear, that will be heard is it concerning the fruits of his action that will be there. So, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says in his commentary that uh, from this performance of Nishkam Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, which is offered to the Supreme Lord, then a particular Jivatma will develop this neutrality or yoga linked with the Supreme. And when the intelligence has surpassed this particularly and completely the denseness of this illusion, at that time he will become indifferent to all the subjects about whatever we are hearing. Like, for example, we will hear about many things which are actually not connected directly, to the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. We'll become completely indifferent. For example, somebody is in the office is talking about some other subject matters. That particular person will become indifferent. Ye mere matlab ka hi nahi hai. This is not of my concern at all. So he'll hear from here and remove it from the other ear. And that is how he will achieve, by destruction of these doubts and misconceptions, when he is hearing from the Supreme Lord or his authorized servant, and he will say that Krishna, Arjuna might think that at the present, I must practice, my sadhana very continuously. But there are many good examples in the lives of great devotees of the Lord who have become indifferent to the rituals also of the Vedas. They are not following the rituals of the Vedas because devotional service is the highest to the Supreme Lord. So when a person factually understands Krishna and his relationship with Krishna, he naturally becomes very much indifferent to the rituals of even the fruitive activities. Karma kanda, yagyas and all, because we know yagya is to be performed for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. So he'll become indifferent to the rituals of the fruitive actions, even though he's an experienced Brahmana. So, for example, Srila Madhvendra Puri, he's saying that Sandhya Vandana Bhadramastu. So he's saying that oh my prayers 3 times a day, because when you're doing Sandhya Vandana means what you're doing Gayatri. So, and you bathe also before doing the Gayatri. So he's saying that, oh bathing, I offer my obeisances unto you. Oh demigods, oh fathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer respects to you. And now whenever I'm sitting, I can remember only the Supreme Lord, who is the greatest descendant of the Yadu dynasty and who is the enemy of Kamsa. And that's how I can free myself from all sinful bondage. And I think that, yes, this is sufficient enough for me. And that is why you become free from all fruitive activities. When you're doing Gayatri, when you're doing the Sandhya Vandanam. And Prabhupada is saying that all these rituals are for only neophytes. Because when a particular person engages in Krishna consciousness and he's doing transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord, and he becomes indifferent to all these regulative principles also, because that particular devotee has already attained perfection. And if somebody has reached to this particular platform of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead selflessly, then he does not have to execute any rituals. He does not have to perform any types of penances or austerities that are there in the scriptures. So if somebody has not understood the purpose of the Vedas, the purpose of the Vedas is to reach Krishna or to understand Krishna, and he's simply engaging in these rituals, then he's uselessly wasting his time in all these engagements and all these rituals also. So that is why those who are in Krishna consciousness, they even transcend the limit of Shabda Brahma, or even the range of the Vedas and Upanishads also. This is what Prabhupada is telling in this particular purport. Let's see the next. Kruti vipratipanna te yada स्थास्यति निश्चला samadhav achala buddhis tada yogam avapyasi. So Krishna says that when your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery languages of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. So see, the Vedas, their language is very flowery. This is what Krishna is telling over here, that he's saying that yada te buddhi, your buddhi, when your intelligence, Shruti vipratipanna, is indifferent to the Vedas. And then he's saying that then what will happen? You will become fixed. Nischala sthayasti. You will become fixed in what? You will be fixed in? Samadhava achala. You will be situated in that samadhi. Because why? Tada yogam avapyasiti. Then you will attain that status of Jivan Mukta. So with this discussion of samadhi, the topic now, switches to Jnana Yoga. And this will be very much, Jnana Yoga will be very much cleared in the next chapter. So at the time you will become detached from hearing all the sorts of material and Vedic subjects. So for flowery language of the Vedas, or the flowery language of the Bollywood, Hollywood, and whatever serials people are seeing, sorts of all material Vedic subject, then because of being averse to that agitation created by that, you become you'll become nischala, and your intelligence will be fixed in that samadhi. So that time, what will you achieve? You will achieve direct realization of the Supreme Lord. And because you will attain direct realization of the Supreme Lord, then you will attain the yogam avapyasi. You will attain the status of being a Jivan Mukta. So to say that, that one is in samadhi is to say that one has fully realized, Krishna consciousness, that one is in full samadhi, has realized the three aspects of the Supreme Lord, which is Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagwan. And the highest perfection is to understand that one is the eternal servant of Krishna, and that one's only business is to discharge duties in Krishna consciousness. So that is why this Krishna conscious, Prabhupada says that this Krishna conscious person is a very unflinching devotee. He's a very chaste devotee. And this particular person, this unflinching devotee, should not be disturbed by any flowery languages, and then, get into or engage himself into fruitive activities to go to either heavenly planets or to Janalok, Tapalok, or Mahalok. No. In Krishna consciousness, one directly comes into a communion with Krishna, and all the directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. So one is sure to achieve results by such activities, and he can attain a conclusive knowledge also. So one has to not only carry out the orders of Krishna, but he has to carry out the orders of the representative also of Krishna. So now from now onwards, Arjuna will ask actually that when he's hearing about intelligence fixed in samadhi, so then Arjuna will question that, okay, what are the characteristics of such a person who is, into, samadhi, or he is fixed into Krishna consciousness. And if you see that the benefits of this buddhi yoga, or one who is acting in that, he is free from good and bad reaction, he'll be free from cycle of birth and death, he will be indifferent to the Vedic rituals, he will realize his relationship with Krishna as an eternal servitor, and then finally he will go back home, back to Godhead. So buddhi yoga is an art of work, and it will rid one from the all good actions also and bad actions also. So now from the next section that we'll be starting is from 54 to I think it is 71 or 72. Please mute yourself. Jui Mata, please mute yourself. So now from which section was I saying? 54 to 72 section. This stage of samadhi will be given, like who's a sthita pragya person, what are the symptoms of a self-realized person, who is acting in buddhi yoga. So this particular section will give us that one who is fixed in Krishna consciousness is beyond the disturbance of even the external material phenomena, and he can experience transcendent evil in this particular body also. So in this, satisfaction is the fundamental symptom of one who is fixed in understanding of his constitutional position with Krishna. So now 54 onwards, Arjuna will ask, 4 questions as how to recognize this person who is, into samadhi, or who's situated in Krishna consciousness, or who is a self-realized soul, or who is a sthita pragya. Sthita pragya means one who is in divine consciousness. So Arjuna has asking 4 questions from 54th shloka onwards. He's asking questions, and symptom means actually Prabhupada is saying that what is the symptom of a person who is in the mode of ignorance. So somebody who's in the mode of ignorance will keep on sleeping a lot, he will keep on procrastinating a lot, he will keep on eating junk food, he will keep on eating stale food, and he does not know only the aim of life. But somebody who is a sthita pragya, then what are his symptoms? We will see in the next shloka. Just let me share the screen with you all. Arjun uvacha sthita pragyasya ka bhasha samadhi thasya keshava sthita dhi kim prabhasheta kim asita vrajeta kim. There's a word called vrajeta over here. How he walks. Arjuna said, "O Krishna, what are the symptoms of one whose consciousness is thus merged in trance? How does he speak? What is his language? How does he sit? And how does he walk?" These are the 4 questions asked by Arjuna. So Prabhupada is saying that there are, symptoms of every man in terms of particular situation. Similarly, one who's in Krishna consciousness also has a particular nature. How he is talking, how he is walking, how he is thinking, how he is feeling. In those terms, he will have his symptoms also. And then, see, most important is to know is how the man in Krishna conscious speaks. For speech is the most important quality of any man. It is said that a fool is undiscovered as long he does not speak, and certainly a well-dressed fool cannot be identified unless he speaks. But as soon as he speaks, he reveals himself at once. So they call it actually a crow's croaking. Sorry, frogs croaking or a crow's croaking, that way. The immediate symptom of a Krishna conscious man is that he speaks only of Krishna. He does not do any prajalpa. He does not criticize anybody. He does not partake also in criticisms. He moves away from there wherever there is some criticism going on, or wherever there is prajalpa going on, whether there is gramya katha going on. Gramya katha means talks that are not related to Krishna and other than Krishna, that is called gramya katha. Like if you see in villages, there are, some men after having their dinner, what they will do is, they will have one cot outside their homes. And then 4, 5 all more of his friends will come. Or even for women, 4, 5 more of her friends will come. And what they will do Gramya Katha. Gramya Katha means, oh, in such and such a person's house, a baby boy is born. Oh, you know what? That mother-in-law is torturing the daughter-in-law. Or you know what? That daughter-in-law ran away from the house only. So this is all what is called Gramya Katha. And we have to refrain from all these prejudices. Nowadays, we have got a lot of Gramya Katha on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And latest Gramya Katha is the IPL match that is going on. So that is completely Gramya Katha. So he speaks only of Krishna. The only interest people have is in Krishna. They don't have interest in any other subject matter. For them, their subject matter is only Krishna and any matters relating to him, which means any service related to Krishna, any preaching related to Krishna, any book distribution related to Krishna, any deity worship related to Krishna. That is they are interested in. Other symptoms then automatically follow as stated below. So that is why if you see that such people that are there, like Krishna, Arjuna is saying that what is he saying? Oh God, I just forgot what I wanted to say. He's saying that samadhi tasya ka bhasha. So what is the description of such people who are situated in, samadhi and who are sthita pragya? Then is sthita dhi. How does he speak? And sthita dhi kim prabhasheta. He's saying, how does he speak? Kim asita. How does he sit? Kim brajeta. How does he walk? How does he move around? So, hearing about fixed intelligence that is fixed in samadhi, Arjuna is asking about the characteristics of this yogi who is a sthita pragya. So, this sthita pragya in this particular verse has a meaning as you can say that achala buddhi, fixed intelligence. Achala means jo chalti nahi hai. Achala means fixed. Buddhi means intelligence. So what qualities can describe a sthita pragya? What are the qualities of a person who is situated in samadhi? Actually, this term sthita pragya and samadhi stuff, both are referring to a person who is a jivan mukta. And so sthita pragya means who does not waver, whose intelligence is fixed. And what will that person say in the face of happiness and distress, respect and disrespect, praise and condemnation. And what will he say, either loudly or to himself? In what way will his senses remain unresponsive to these external objects? Kim Asita. And in what way will his senses respond to the objects, of, whether he's walking, whether he's talking, whether he's sleeping? So, see, you know, uh, uh, these specific symptoms can be known only from the Bhagavad Gita and only from the Lord himself. And it is important for us to know that the Prabhupada is saying speech is the most important. And if somebody, is speaking anything not related to Krishna, then he is in the mode, he is binded by the modes of material nature. This is what Krishna is, Arjuna is asking, and Prabhupada is giving in the purport this explanation. Now Krishna will start answering that what are the symptoms. From 54th shloka onwards, Krishna will start answering that what are the symptoms of a Sthita Pragya person. But I leave this section to the next class on next Saturday, so that we can give justice to this topic. And I rest my speech over here. If anybody has any doubts, clarifications, feel free to ask me. Yeah, Indrani Mataji. Yeah, Mataji. You can ask. Indrani Mataji, we are not able to hear you. No, not able to hear you. You are unmuted, but we are not able to hear you. Okay, in the meantime,
Hare
somebody...
Krishna Mataji, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you finally.
Yeah, Mataji, my question is, why is the language of the Vedas called flowery, and why different types of penances are mentioned if Krishna consciousness is the only way?
Yeah, see, different people have different desires, right? Okay, the Vedas language is flowery because those who want to get allured into, that quick results, then for them that flowery language will be, given. That, okay, you do this, you will get this, and you'll do this, you will get this. Like, okay, fruitive results. Okay. And all these other flowery languages or other paths are given so that it is a comparison, where you say Ashtanga Yoga, Karma Yoga, Dhyan Yoga. So it is actually giving a comparison of all the other paths also. That and so, for example, when we are comparing that which is the best path, okay, so we need to know, no, that what are the other paths also. Okay, Karma Yoga is there, then Ashtanga Yoga is there, Dhyan Yoga is there. Okay, which is the highest? Okay, Bhakti Yoga. So the characteristics of Karma Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, Jnana Yoga we need to know. And then Krishna is giving us a choice. Now you decide what you want to adopt. Krishna has given us a free will. Okay, that you want to do Karma Yoga, okay, do Karma Yoga. But gradually Karma Yoga will get you to Jnana Yoga, and from Jnana Yoga to Bhakti Yoga. Okay, somebody wants to do Jnana Yoga. Okay, do Jnana Yoga. But ultimately you will come to Bhakti Yoga. You will have to come to Bhakti Yoga to perfect. So even in Ashtanga Yoga, if somebody is there, and if somebody, like actually I was explaining yesterday only about Ashtanga Yoga in our reading classes, that if somebody wants to practice okay, this process of actually leaving. So then he has two paths. Either the Ashtanga Yogi goes into impersonal liberation, or then he actually goes to, adopting bhakti, because Ashtanga Yogi, what he is doing, he is meditating on Paramatma. But he is meditating on the Paramatma, and he has two choices. Either you merge into the impersonal Brahman, or you go to the, you take up to Bhakti Yoga. So if he takes up the impersonal Brahman, then no this. But if he takes to Bhakti Yoga, then he will be liberated. Right? So now this Ashtanga Yogi has two choices. When he wants to perfect his asana with pranayama, pratyahar and all, so he desires to leave this world to achieve the liberation. But he's ready for it. So such a person does not become attached to a particular time or place, where in the 8th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is describing there are three kinds of practitioners. There are Virat Rupa meditators, Paramatma meditators, and Karma Kandi meditators. So he is mentioning that is Virat Rupa meditators, they are awaiting till this, Uttarayan, or the setting of this. So therefore, that's the favorable time to achieve liberation for those who are meditating. And when he's talking about karma kandi, then they go to the heavenly planets. We don't want to. So that is Dakshinayam, and it is favorable time for them. And but when somebody who is talking about an advanced yogi, an advanced yogi is one who is qualified to meditate on the Paramatma, and he does not become bewildered by this Uttarayan or the Dakshinayan path. He does not think to hold his life here to either live in Dakshinayan or Uttarayan, but his liberation is meditating on the Paramatma, and he does not care about proper time, place, or something, and he gives up his body. So the yogi is merging that mind in the intelligence. Why? Because the intelligence is the controller of the mind, right? So if we do not understand all these yoga paths, then how will we understand Bhakti Yoga? And how will we understand that Bhakti Yoga is only Sarvashreshta, the best path for us? And that is why Vedas will give all flowery languages, but it is now for us to discriminate that what is flowery, what is non-flowery, what is pure and what is not pure. It is up to us, because Krishna is giving us that free will to discriminate, that you decide what you want. You want to become a karma yogi? Okay, you become a karma yogi. You want to become an ashtanga yogi? You become an ashtanga yogi. Krishna is happy in all situations with you. Okay, that way. Any more questions? Mataji, Indrani Mataji, perfect? Or still not satisfied? You can ask me. Yeah, Mataji. We cannot hear you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mataji. Cleared.
Okay, okay, fine. Kalyani Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, what is the difference between Buddhi Yoga and Karma Yoga?
Buddhi Yoga is on the platform of, so Karma Yoga is with some fruitive activity, from desiring some fruitive results. But when you are on Buddhi Yoga, then you don't desire any fruitive reactions. Whether you get a result or you don't get a result, you are completely, neutral to it. So, for example, if somebody is working with the desire that I will get money, or somebody is doing business with the desire of I'll get money, then that is Karma Yoga. But if somebody is doing business with the desire that whether I get money or don't get money, I will still do that act. I will still do my business. Then that is actually Nishkam Karma Yoga or Buddhi Yoga. Buddhi Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga, these are all synonyms. ठीक है ना?
Mataji, but then karma kand also means that
Karma Kand is a little lower than Karma Yoga.
Mataji, then what is the difference between them both?
So in Karma Kand, you know, there are many, what do you say, rituals, and there are many, you know, havans and yagyas to be done in Karma Kanda. And you do only with that particular intention. Karma Yoga still will gradually get you to, you know, Bhakti Yoga. Karma Yoga to Karma. Now, if you see, in one of the purports also actually, Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, devotional service, service for the cause of the Lord, they all are given actually the same synonyms are there. Where Karma Yoga is also synonym only of Buddhi Yoga and Nishkam Karma Yoga. So, you can say Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. I think we have discussed. In which section did I discuss? Karma Yoga is for your own sense gratification. You remember in Ishopanishad we had done that exercise? Karma Yoga, Nishkam Karma Yoga.
Karma, akarma, vikarma.
Karma, akarma and vikarma. Okay, we had done that exercise. So if somebody is doing some action for their own sense gratification, then that is karma. But somebody is doing it for the satisfaction of Vishnu, then it is Nishkam Karma Yoga. In Karma Yoga, still we are doing it for our own satisfaction. But if somebody is doing it for the satisfaction of Vishnu, then that is Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, Kalani Mataji. But over here you understand that in Bhagavad Gita, what Prabhupada is saying that Karma Yoga, Buddhi Yoga, devotional service, that is service done for the cause of the Lord. You understand that. So don't get confused with Karma Kanda and Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is on the platform of Buddhi Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga. Okay, that way. Any more clarification on this?
Okay, Mataji, I think I understood.
Yeah, it will be, you know, it will be more clearer to you in the subsequent shlokas. Still, I know you're confused about Karma Yoga, but it will be more.
Maybe Mataji, third chapter is about that only.
Yeah. Third chapter may completely clarity aa jayegi.
Okay.
That how you should work for the pleasure of Krishna only.
Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah, Harsh Prasanatma Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Mataji, in the starting of the lecture, I heard that in this Kali Yuga, the material duties performed by different classes like Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaisyas, and Sudras. They are performing their duties, like Brahmanas are performing sometimes the duty of a Kshatriya or Sudra materially. And also sometimes Kshatriyas are performing duties of Vaisyas. So how to know, Mataji, that whether we are performing our duty, material duty according to our nature, means we are doing some job in the material world. So whether we are doing our duty according to our nature, and if we are not doing our duty according to our nature, then is it good to change our life? Sometimes we think that I like shastras, I like reading shastras, so I should teach others about. So how to know these things? Whether we are doing our
Very
duty.
practical question you're asking, Prabhuji. Thank you for asking that question. Very practical question you're asking. That how do I know that what is my nature? Whether I'm a Brahmana, whether I'm a Kshatriya, whether I'm a Vaishya, or whether I'm a Shudra. So immediately, you know, what is that test you're asking? Okay, what is the test that I am in? So actually, you have given your own answer. I'll tell you how. You are saying you're more inclined to read the Shastras, you're more inclined to do devotional service, you're more inclined. So you are trying to be in the mode of goodness. And in the mode of goodness, Brahmanas are generally in the mode of goodness. But to set an example for the people in the material world, when we are working, so when you go out and work, okay, then that is the work of a Vaishya, because Vaishya, he goes out, he does cow protection, he does farming, and then he is, providing food to the other three classes. Okay. So when we are going out and working, whether we are in a government job, we are in an IT job, or any job that we are in, okay, we are setting an example that we are not falsely renouncing things. We are not immaturely renouncing. हर चीज का एक एक maturity time रहता है, and when you mature, then things will give you happiness. Immaturely, if somebody renounces, I think we have discussed in the where have I discussed? I don't know, because many times I'm giving Gita classes, many places, 4, 5 times in a week I'm giving Gita classes. So I had mentioned it over there also, that immaturely if somebody is giving up his duty, prescribed duty, then what happens? Neither is he happy internally, because there is a guilty conscience pricking his mind that no, and when he gives up also immaturely, what happens is that whatever other path that he is picked up. So for example, let's take a practical example of a particular person who was working in an IT industry, and he was earning somewhere 2 lakhs per month, and he immaturely resigns from his job, and he says, now I want to become a full-time devotee. So now immaturely he has resigned. He becomes a full-time devotee. He is a married man. He has children also. And he is immaturely giving up his prescribed duty as a father, as a husband, and he is day in and day out, in the temple only. So what is happening is that he is neither appreciating temple activities, neither is appreciating chanting, because there is one responsibility that he has left and he has come, and he's immaturely, he is into devotional service. The devotional service is very sukhadai. It is very, very, happiness giving. But when this particular person got married, he had some duty towards his wife. When he begot children, he has duty towards his children. So these are now his prescribed duties towards his wife and towards his children, which he has immaturely given up. And now he has become a full-time temple devotee, where he is not appreciating enough the devotional activities also. And that's why when somebody immaturely gives up his prescribed duties, then Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita only, that when you immaturely give it up, then you fall down more from your position. Because, and even great souls like Janak Maharaj also, or great devotees also have done their prescribed duty to set an example for the others. In that matter, even Krishna himself, why didn't Krishna become a sannyasi? Krishna became a grihastha, having 16,108 wives and setting an example of a perfect grihastha life, where every queen had 10 children. Today, people cannot manage even one child, but every queen had 10 children, and Krishna was perfectly able to manage those, 16 lakh 10,080 children, right? And he was able to manage even those 16,108 wives, he was able to even satisfy them. So even Krishna has set a perfect example for us to how to be a very perfect grihastha. and not shirk away from our duties or not falsely renounce. Because when you renounce, then that becomes Falgu Vairagya. Falgu Vairagya means a show of Vairagya or show of renunciation. But see, there is a time for renunciation also. That is why this Varna and Ashram are given. Ashram is Grihastha Ashram, Brahmachari Ashram, Vanaprastha Ashram, and Sannyas Ashram. So, Brahmachari Ashram is a very perfect ashram where you get perfect training of becoming a good Grihastha. And how to keep Krishna in the center and work accordingly. If you see in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's team, all are Grihasthas only. All were perfect Grihasthas. It was not like that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became sannyasi, all his mates also became sannyasi. No. Then when you are into Grihastha ashram, when a particular person is into Grihastha ashram, then he knows how to keep Krishna in the center and how to satisfy Krishna's senses, and then he moves towards Vanaprastha ashram. Then in Vanaprastha ashram, he becomes a little detached with his wife, and again, both of them are working only for Krishna's pleasure. And then comes sannyas ashram. Sannyas means renouncing of our sense gratificatory tendencies. But this is a training from Brahmachari ashram to the Vanaprastha ashram. A training is being given that how every time we will keep Krishna in the center and not my senses in the center. How every time I will, satisfy the master of the senses and not my own senses. And that's how then sannyas ashram will get justice. And we will do justice to that sannyas ashram also. Others immaturely when we are giving up everything and somebody gives up his wife and his children, he is going to create a havoc in a society. He's not going to do benefit to himself also, to the society also, and to his wife and children also. So this is how when we will identify slowly and gradually, we'll be able to identify what my nature is, whether I'm a Brahmana, whether I'm a Kshatriya. Sometimes somebody likes to do book distribution. So he's a Kshatriya. War pe jayega, he will go on the field and he will do book distribution. They all are Kshatriyas, those who are doing book distribution. Of course, it's a mixture of Brahmana also, because Brahmana's one quality is to impart wisdom, is to give transcendental knowledge. But the उसको बोलते हैं ना पलड़ा जो है वो क्षत्रिय पे ज्यादा है. Why? Because he is taking the risk at the cost of his life also. He is going out and risking his life and he is distributing books. So then he is into Kshatriya. Somebody is into management, then he is a Kshatriya. Somebody likes to do management, somebody likes to control people under him, then he is a Kshatriya. Somebody has good leadership qualities, then he is a Kshatriya. So that way, you will come to know gradually and slowly that what are your, inert, qualities, whether you're a Brahmana, whether you're a Kshatriya. Okay, Harsh Prasanna Atma Prabhu, does that suffice your problem, or still you need some clarification, more added question for it?
Yes, Mataji, most of the doubt is clear. Just one doubt is remaining, that immaturely we should not give up our duties, and also we should not change our occupation immaturely.
Yes.
This doubt.
Yes.
Means we should not change our occupation from like Kshatriya work to Brahmana work. This is also
like recently in Pune, what we are doing over here is that at the age of 25, 26 only, now those young people are trained that you have sufficient balance, you collect sufficient balance, and then you actually retire. You give a voluntary retirement, like a VRS that you say in your companies. So then there is a financial management also given, as financial planning is also given, that from the age of 25, when you will start investing till the age of 40, 45, you want to retire fast, you want to actually, give more time to devotional activities, then you start financial planning from the age of 25 only. So that when you are 40, 45, then okay, you can have varnashram dharma followed very nicely. You have one land, you have a cow, and you have one house, and you're doing farming in front of your own house only. That varnashrama dharma is being actually trained from the age of 25, 26 only. Still you are young, you can also start planning it that way only. And devotees can start planning that, okay, I'm very young, at 45, 50, I can do something, I can be productive to the movement, I can be, but for example, somebody has come only at the age of 50 in Krishna consciousness, and his financial condition is not so great, then he has to work till 60 to sustain his family and all the other expenses and some reserves for the future also. Mishappenings are happening in the future, then he has to have that particular savings for his future. Or so then if you want to make financial planning and you dedicate your life fully to Krishna consciousness, then a financial planning has to be done. Then maturity also gains, you gain maturity after 40, 45, 50 years of age, you gain a lot of maturity, then so then from that brahmachari age to that particular vanaprastha age, then systematically you are planning also, you have your wife and children also properly situated, children are also properly settled in their life, they are also having their own earnings, they are also financially independent, and you also are financially independent. It's not like that you are also burden on your own children. You don't have to stretch your hands to your children. That much at least financial savings you should have. So it's a gradual process, Prabhuji, that slowly and steadily you will also know. But a lot of contemplation guidance from the superiors who can give you that guidance is required, and who can get you to that point of having reserves for your future and then moving into the temple or becoming a full-time devotee and dedicating your life for the mission of the Lord. Of course, this is a very good thought that somebody wants to dedicate his whole life in the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or the Lord, of reclaiming the fallen souls back. It's a good thought, but it needs a lot of contemplation and financial planning so that the later years go, smooth. Because temple, if so, for example, tomorrow somebody has a very major illness, and the hospital is demanding 10 lakhs, 20 lakhs. Temple is not going to pay. Who has to pay? We only have to pay. So that financial savings, if we have, then we are not dependent on the temple that way. Okay, Prabhu? Any more clarification on this?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much for the nice explanation.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Actually, we had briefly had the explanation in our Bhagavatam class, but not so elaborately. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Any more clarification on this? Whatever has been taught today by Prabhuji or myself? Basically, we have to be very practical enough. Sometimes what happens now, I have seen devotees very fanatically, they will give up. And that is why if you see, Pune temple now is doing very systematized work of if somebody training that is being given is a very systematized training that children are working also in the IT companies and are staying in the temple also, and then they can make up their mind whether they want to go to brahmachari ashram or whether they want to go to grihastha ashram. And sometimes if somebody very immaturely takes up to brahmachari ashram, I have seen in Vrindavan, Bombay, Delhi, Ahmedabad, I've seen in all these places where, small children, 20, 21, age, they immaturely fanatically they enter into the brahmachari ashram, they take up saffron also. And then what happens with them is, one point of time they were working with an IT company and earning some nice good, amount of money. And then because they've immaturely given up that job or immaturely renounced everything, then after 1 or 2 years they feel, oh, I should have got married, because the senses are so turbulent, the senses are troubling the mind, and the senses keep on troubling them, and then they become, neither here nor there. Now because IT company, you have a break of 1 or 2 years, companies don't pick you up properly also, or you don't get a proper job also again into an IT company. So then they are left with dangling in between devotional life and material life. They dangle and they struggle. Bichare, they struggle very badly, and then they have no happiness also. So this problem happens with these youngsters. And at the age of, imagine at the age of 24, 25, somebody is dangling between material life and spiritual life. So that is why Pune temple has done a very nice training system, that properly for 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that person is tested properly, and then only is given saffron. And with full training, he is given saffron, so that he does not have to later on suffer between the material life and the spiritual life. Because senses troubled him, he is getting married. Now, if he's got married, he's entered into Grihastha ashram, so he needs finance. But because he's not getting a good job, the wife is not happy, he himself is not happy, and then you have children on top of that. That again, goes into a loop. So that is why we need to be very intelligent enough to see to these situations. Any more clarification on this topics? Okay, fine. Sorry, we went a little overtime today, 20 minutes. I just beg apology for the same. But this was important. So thank you so much, dear devotees. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Yeah, just one important announcement. We're going to start a Bhakti Vaibhav course very soon with the BVRV. If anybody is interested, or any of your friends are interested with Bhakti Vaibhav, those who have already done Bhakti Shastri, so they are going to start with the new Bhakti Vaibhav batch. So you are going to contact Shanti Devi Dasi, and she will help you all out in getting enrolled and getting registered as such. Okay, so thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.